Is there that much of a difference between players in the Southern Professional League and the ECHL? Is there that much of a difference between ECHL and AHL? No, because players go up and down and play for both leagues all the time. But once you start getting into that majority, and we saw when the Norfolk Admirals were in a couple weeks ago, and they had 9 players out of the Southern Pro League in their lineup, and they had a hard time just overall consistently keeping up in the game. It's the Mid-American Conference playing against the SEC or something in that way. Maybe for a half, 3/4 they're keeping in there. Maybe they do get an upset here and there. But, for the majority of the time, that other team is going to be favored. And, it's Toledo against Cincinnati on Monday when you mentioned him. One guy out of the lineup. Fort Wayne had one guy hurt. And we played them on Sunday. It makes a huge difference when your roster is intact to when it is not, and that's why the ECHL is normally a league of streaks. You'll see Kalamazoo's a great example, who Toledo just beat on Saturday. They just had a stretch where they had won 10 out of 12 games, then all of a sudden, goaltender's gone to the American League, here goes 3 defensemen. They played with 3D the other night against Toledo. And Toledo won the game, mainly because they had opportunities throughout the game that Kalamazoo wasn't getting. And it is part of the game. And it's one of the things you have to struggle with. Now, over the last 4 to 5 years, this has been a rarity. Toledo has had their roster intact, even with guys going up and down, and maybe you're putting in guys that are normally your 10th or 11th or 12th forward are now playing more minutes.
So now, as we get into the new year, we talk about those dog days, January, February, you're just kind of slogging through it. When can we start to see guys maybe start to come back to us here from the AHL, from injuries? When can we start to see that kind of fall back here in Toledo?
Well, I think the thing you got to watch for is when guys get healthy in Detroit. I mean, it all depends on the health of those teams above us in Detroit and Grand Rapids, and as they get healthy, eventually that will happen, you hope. I mean, that's the majority of the time is you hope that, okay, this guy gets healthy, he goes back in the lineup, nobody else gets hurt.
Right.
The problem you run into is if that guy gets in and then another guy gets hurt, now you're just staying pat, and that's where it leaves Toledo in this. Where are we going to be, coming up in the next week, in the next 2 weeks? Remember, this team has to go on a trip to Idaho coming up next week, leaving on Monday. So it is going to be a juggling act for the coaching staff.